First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking these things as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BBE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you could never really know what's up next.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for Up Next. You found us at postwrestling.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever podcast app you are choosing to use right now, or maybe you are watching us
live on youtube.com/postwrestling. Hello, YouTube room. How we doing?
How we doing on this Tuesday, April 29th, 2025? Yeah, that's right. We made it almost to May. A lot has happened in the last little while. We went through WrestleMania. The Pope died.
Yeah.
The Leafs are blowing a really big lead.
Leafs in 6, right? Leafs in 6.
Yeah. And we have a new prime minister in Canada. New quotation marks.
Semi-new, like confirmed now, like voted in, but it's rigged, right? That's what I keep hearing.
Yeah, stop the count. It's all rigged. Yeah. Whoever we had our voting here. Americans were like, oh yeah, Canadians, that's a whole thing. To us, it's like we're fighting our lives to make sure we don't become Americans, and hopefully that doesn't happen. So Canada strong. Hello, everybody, and we're here. We're a Canadian podcast, fully Canadian. Now that you're a Canadian citizen,
indeed, yeah. Fully Canadian here at Post Wrestling, yes.
So you're supporting Canada right now by listening to this show. So thank you for doing that. How you doing?
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm a little wiped out, but I'm in good enough spirits. I got back from Mexico late last night, so I've kind of been it's been a hell of a couple of weeks. You know, Mania season, and then it was like Mania, Raw after Mania, NXT. Straight to Mexico, back from Mexico, and straight into NXT. So I'm struggling a little, but I'm in good enough spirits.
It's
definitely too much tequila and too many tacos. And
Cholula Green.
A bit of a wobbly belly. Wobbly belly right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Did you drink Mexican water? Be careful. They tell you not.
No, I actually I felt great the whole time until coming back, and then I was like, ooh. It was a long day. I had a layover yesterday, so had to get up at 5 a.m. and didn't get back home right here until 11 p.m. So it was a long day.
Right. Well, maybe we got to go back for some Worlds Collide, or maybe we make a boys trip to WrestleMania. Everyone goes on a lads trip to WrestleMania, Davey. We need to go to a WWE Triple Mania weekend when that happens eventually. Will it still be as bad as they used to be, though?
I hope so.
Will the luster wear off? You've now been to Mexico. You didn't see any wrestling I'm sure you saw masks everywhere, though, right?
Saw a few masks. Lots of Rey Mysterio, lots of Blue Demon. Didn't see any Penta or Phoenix or anything like that, but a lot of the classics.
I told you before you went, I'm like, you will see Rey Mysterio mask on pretty much every corner. He's like Jesus down there. It's like Rey Mysterio, the mask, the Blue Demon. I have one of those as well. But yeah, you see a lot of those. But we'll be seeing some lucha masks, whichever wrestling show you seem to be watching lately, because obviously the news of Money in the Bank weekend, the same day, they're going to be doing the Worlds Collide with NXT and AAA, which is crazy. So interested to see what happens with AAA. We talked about over WrestleMania weekend. So as Pollock was joking a week ago, we sent you down to scout to make sure Arena Mexico is okay, and that Conan's happy, you know, what goes around comes around.
Isn't Arena Mexico exclusive?
Yeah, it's CML.
CMLL.
Yeah. but still, you were doing, you know, proper.
Yes.
I do. That's still on the bucket list.
But then AEW announced a show, right? Grand Slam, right?
And it's like sold out.
Yeah.
Like right away. So maybe that's an untapped market that they realize, oh, wait.
I think so.
They want to come to our shows. Let's go. Let's sell out all. Let's go on tour down there. Why did it take so long, I guess?
Yeah.
But pretty exciting stuff. So if you are down in Mexico or ever think of going down for a trip, like now you might have some bigger wrestling options and stuff. So it's pretty cool. But we'll see. We'll in a few years, will we say Lucha Libre is dead, just like Brit Res, as we used to say. So we'll have to see what the consensus is on that. But yeah.
I mean, El Grande Americano has to become AAA champion, right?
That probably the end game story. I feel like I joked about it, I think, in person, but with you when we were watching El Grande's WrestleMania debut last week or whatever. And I joked that I think they bought AAA just to continue the storyline, and I wouldn't put it past them. They were like, yo, what would be the funniest thing? I don't know. How much would it cost to buy AAA? Oh, that's it?
That's what it's going to be revealed, because we never saw what Chad Gable got in Mexico. We assume it was the mask, but maybe it was just he went to buy AAA, right?
Yeah, I now own them. That's how I would book it. I feel like is the reports that they got rid of Alberto Del Rio, so I feel like he's gone, and they'll
I've been a bit out of the loop. I didn't know that, but
I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I thought I saw that a few days ago. But that would be the first move I think anyone would make that decision if you bought AAA. But so that's pretty cool, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing all the Lucha stuff. We love Lucha because if you listen to us, you know that we're here in Toronto and we go to a lot of Lucha stuff. And I got to shout out our friends at Demand Lucha who did a show over WrestleMania weekend in Vegas, which looked awesome. But I know that these guys are doing a show on Wednesday, May 9th here in Toronto at the Phoenix. And you will definitely catch us, the BDE Poisonrana crew at Demand Lucha, because they always tear it up. And we love to support our Lucha. And there's lots of Lucha Libre at Demand Lucha here in the 6. So they're going to turn up. I just know it. There's like a crazy 5-man Lucha Scramble, Gringo, Arez, you know, all those guys just go out there and kill it every night. So I wish I'm not saying like, it almost sounds like I'm going to talk about like strippers, but you know, you throw money in Mexico, you see the stories where people throw money in the ring. Like I want to do that sometimes because it feels acceptable with how crazy these Lucha guys get. So support your Lucha and catch us at Demand Lucha.
I also saw there's going to be a Lucha show at the Well in Toronto.
I mean, we went to a show last year on Cinco de Mayo. Remember, it was right outside the apartment. I have a feeling it's something related. I don't know if that is, but also pretty cool. More Lucha Libre in the city. So support your local independent wrestling, no matter where it is. But the wrestling never stops. Are you wrestled out as much as I was? Because when you feel like you're wrestled out, Davey, they just pull you back.
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to catch up on everything I've missed in the last couple of days, and I just dropped my girlfriend back at the airport because she's gone back home. So I started catching up on a bit of AEW and opened with the Death Riders coming out, and I was like, Jesus Christ, like what am I doing? But yeah, I'm pretty up to date. I caught up with SmackDown and last night's Raw, and I'm still like I'm still exhausted just from WrestleMania week and everything. But you know, we're all wrestling fans; it never stopped. So I'm cool to talk about it still. I'm still excited about stuff for sure. Absolutely,
yes. It looks like Backlash, which always comes right after WrestleMania, is already taken a whole lot of shape with some angles and some matches announced for the show in St. Louis. I think the match we all saw coming, if John Cena was to win that 17th world title, you got to do the match one more time. Why not in St. Louis with Randy Orton and John Cena? So we're getting that match. It's official.
I did really enjoy the promo segment from SmackDown with Randy just being like, I liked how kind of kayfabe wise, it explained why Randy's a good guy now. He's a dad. He's like, John, you just need to be a dad, and then you'll stop being a dick. Like, just be a parent. I thought that was pretty great. I am excited for the match. Like, I can't say I ever really enjoyed John Cena versus Randy Orton, except for maybe that Iron Man match, which you can hear us talk about in episode 7 of the Champ is Here. But I'm not expecting a Matt Classic between these two. But for the last time ever, I assume roles reversed, I am kind of up for this, and I'm up for the spectacle of it. I'm not necessarily going in to expect a 5-star match between these two, but I think it's the right move to book this match at Backlash in St. Louis, and I'm kind of excited for it.
Yeah, we've somehow, again, we work our way with the Champ is Here show that we've been doing. And if you haven't followed, please jump on at any time. Check out some of the episodes we have released for free on the post feed and the Poisonrana feed. But we've done 8 episodes with different guests, and we've been going through the history of John Cena, all his title wins. And we've covered a lot of John Cena versus Randy Orton in the last few months. So then here we go again. We have to watch them do it one last time. And yeah, I feel like the nostalgia runs that's how I know I'm really old now is, wow, they're doing a last time ever retirement match between Randy Orton and John Cena. And I guess I'm here for it. Like, what am I not going to watch this? No, like, we got to see, hopefully it delivers something, but hot off what some may call the worst fucking finish to a WrestleMania ever, my hopes are extremely low, which will probably make Backlash superior to WrestleMania. So we shall see. But then, Triple H goes the extra mile. He goes, I know you guys are upset. So you know what I'll do? I'll put Pat McAfee in a match against Gunther. Oh, you don't like that? Okay, what about Logan Paul versus Jey Uso? Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely more excited for one than the other, and it's the Pat McAfee match, I
agree.
If you know me, one of my favorite wrestlers, unironically, of all time is Shane McMahon. And there's something kind of Shane McMahon about Pat McAfee in a wrestling ring.
Okay.
Again, like, I'm not expecting a Matt Classic, but I think it could be pretty fun. Pat, we saw him in NXT. He had the feud with Adam Cole. He had the War Games match, and he was all right.
He was pretty good.
Fun. He was pretty good for like a celeb and whatever. I've been enjoying Gunther. I do see this as potentially a way to get Goldberg back in the fold. I could see him potentially being some muscle that Pat has hired to help him win this match and start that feud, because we know kind of Goldberg is, I believe, contracted to one last match this year, and it was very heavily hinted at last year that would be against Gunther. So I can kind of see this being a way to get to that, maybe. So again, like, I'm kind of, there's matches here that have my curiosity, not in the same way as I'd be excited about, a Kenny versus Ospreay or something like that. But I think there's some fun stuff. Logan Jey Uso, that is going to be tough. I think that's going to be a tough one to sell me on. But Lyra and Becky, I think.
Well, yeah. Hold on. I would like to talk about the Pat. Like,
go for
definitely it. The Pat McAfee promo on Raw was a lot better than I thought it was going to be, and especially him basically saying "fuck Gunther" and like swearing, talking about how he donates money to all these different charities. Like, I thought that was actually from the heart. I'm not a sports guy, and I wasn't aware of really who Pat McAfee was up until he was introduced all those years ago in NXT. And like you said, when we first saw him, we were like, whoa, wait a second. This guy clearly knows a lot about wrestling. He's not just like, a guy who's coming in here for a check. He knows about it. And he put the work in with the actual training. So we instantly were like, no, he should get the kind of respect. And I think people maybe always put him in that sports jock, bro-y kind of guy. And he totally is with his associations and all that stuff. But like, I thought they did a good job of having the storyline with him and Gunther kind of cooling off Gunther right now. He just had this long title reign. You don't want him back in the kitchen right now, even though we got Logan Paul for some reason. But I'm kind of, you said he's like Shane McMahon. So I am expecting Gunther to throw Pat McAfee through glass multiple times until that shit breaks. I'm expecting actually a pretty riot of a match come Backlash. And I'm saying I might be the one guy who's like, wait, just give them the chance. I actually think this could be a highlight of this show. But Jay and Logan Paul, no interest in that match whatsoever.
I actually think it's kind of great for Gunther because it keeps him occupied whilst being out of the title picture. Like he has been a champion, whether it be IC champion or world champion for quite a while, and it's a good way to like pivot him away from that until you want to put him back in there. So I'm all about that. Logan and AJ I didn't think was a great match at Mania, and if that's with AJ Styles, I don't know what a Jey Uso is going to get out of him. It feels just let's get an easy defense out the way for Jey Uso, because I don't think he's going to be holding this title for too long.
Is Logan Paul the new Kane? You just
kind of, yeah.
They did it before, right? They did it with Roman. They did it with Cody. They did it with, so this is like, hey, you get your first title defense, Logan, you're not going to win. But also, like, I do see, I was saying for months, it should be Seth teaming with Paul, should take the title right away from Jay. I still foresee that happening pretty soon. If not Backlash, then whatever's coming next.
Well, especially the angle they set up, like they had a good like show long story between Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins. Seth and Paul saying, hey, if you don't agree with what we're doing, like we can always ship you off to SmackDown and have you challenge the winner of the match at Backlash. And Sami going, no, I'm staying here and I will be a world champion on my own merit. It kind of sets up for that title to somehow get to Seth and then have Seth and Sami down the line for that title as well.
Yeah, that could be an easy thing you go back to, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania.
We haven't had a Money in the Bank kind of call your shot for a while. So maybe, Sami winning Money in the Bank and being like Seth, like assuming Seth is the champion by then, I want a match at SummerSlam for the title. You could do it that way, perhaps.
Because I don't know if it's announced, but I would imagine at Backlash it's Seth and Braun versus Roman and Roman and Punk, right? Like that's
possibly, yeah. We haven't seen. Perhaps you could go that way for sure.
That's a 2-man power trip. And if we are introducing a third man, a third person, I say man, it could be the man, the husband and wife. But I don't know. You could add someone else to this stable. But I thought I love Sami Zayn, but they keep doing this story. I feel like this has been the same thing for like 6 times and copy paste of, oh, hey, look, I'm Sami Zayn and people love me. And I'm not championship material, et cetera, et cetera. But like, I do like the 2-man power trip of Paul Heyman and Braun and Seth, like instantly working so far. But like the Sami stuff is something you go back to down the line, and then we're going to have War Games and all that kind of stuff. But I don't see like Sami Seth we got to get the title on Seth before we can even think about Sami winning that thing.
Well, I wonder if that, like, I know Sami's just come back, but whether this attack is a way to keep him off TV until maybe after Backlash. If you want to get that Punk and Roman match out the way, then you can then have, Sami back after Backlash, which would be Money in the Bank season, would it not?
Yeah.
June?
Yeah. That would be the next one or something. But yeah. So, if you were to add a third person, I don't know if they would, but like what comes to mind? Because
I think like from reporting I've seen, I think they want to keep it just as this for the moment. But if you were to grow this, you need, if you're looking at Evolution with Paul maybe being in the Ric Flair role and Seth being Triple H, Bronze your Batista. So maybe someone from NXT, like more of a Randy. I don't know.
Miles Bourne.
Miles Bourne, sure. Yeah, there we go.
Randy Orton, right there.
Yeah.
Give him the trunks that he wore at Mania.
Yeah.
And it'll be it right there. Right now, I like the combo. As soon as I saw, again, I didn't actually like the story so much of like, hey, we're scaring you off and going to give you a title shot and this and that. I thought it was like, we've seen Sami do this too much. I think the story would have been interesting if Seth was like, yo, what if you want to join us? Be part of us. He wasn't even that though. It was like, yo, just fuck off. We don't even want you to be here. It was so like shitting on like the character of Sami. But once I saw Braun make his entrance with Paul Heyman, like in the shadows in that entrance, I was like, oh, there we go. The character of Paul Heyman lives on all these years and keeps going. So I'm in to see where this kind of story goes with these two so far.
I've seen a lot of stuff about people being like, oh man, he's still got his theme tune and stuff. But I kind of liked that. It's almost as if Seth isn't aware he's a bad guy yet, or at least that was the promo at the beginning. He was still doing his visionary, revolutionary, like catchphrase. And it's like, no, I'm doing this for the fans. I'm doing this for the betterment of the company. And I wonder if over time, like the more he kind of accepts that he's the enemy, if you know what I mean, whether they'll strip some of that away from him. Yeah,
I was saying he should have came out at day one, just all black, the one strand of blonde, like be like a complete, like different than you are. What do I always call him, a loofah? But then he comes out with like this crazy ass jacket that's probably worth like more than most of us can afford. I still like him being the drip god a little bit. I don't want him to kind of lose that because it's kind of been something he's been using for a little bit. But so far, I want to see where this goes. I do think that's the match at Backlash, and I'm for that. So far, the card, I think it's just the Logan match. I think people are mad that the Pat McAfee stuff, but really it's the Logan Paul again, where it's like, he's good. It's just like, I don't know, something about it I'm not in love with, but yeah.
Yeah, and Jay is limited as well. Like
sure,
I don't, it's one I'm not really into. Lyra and Becky, I think they're doing a pretty good job with that so far. We saw their match in NXT, which was pretty good. And I like how they referenced it on Raw this week. I think this is really like a project for Lyra more so than Becky. Like, and I'm sure Becky's probably had a lot of say in this to try and get Lyra like over. Like we finally saw Lyra still doesn't particularly click with me, like character-wise, personality-wise. I think she's great in ring. But there needs to be something to get something out of her. And I thought we saw a little bit of that last night with her like fiery comeback at Becky. And I'm kind of not really that mad that they rushed through this Bayley story as well. Just we've just had the whodunit with Jade going on for months. It's like Becky just coming out. Yep, it was me. I did it. This is the feud we're doing now. I was kind of okay with that. And I think if they're given time as well, I think this could really be something to try and elevate Lyra at Backlash.
The match could potentially be the best wrestling on the show, right? Like, hopefully. Yeah. I think Lyra, we've seen in NXT, the problem was the character. Like, we still call her the Bird Lady. And she's leaned into it because she came out at Mania with the big, feathers and everything, still using the bird kind of thing, which is cool. But there needs to be a bit more than that because I think the wrestling is really there. But I can't say the character has necessarily blown people away. So hopefully these two can bring something out of each other. Like Becky, I love Becky. Like she comes across to me as a star. And I think this will bring Lyra up to her level. Even if Becky goes over in the first match, you could continue this as a series.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Another thing in my notes, Carlito still on TV. Good
Why?
For him.
Yeah. Why? How? Yeah. He's got a new
got
shirt
that one
as well.
pop.
I'm like, who's buying this?
He got one pop in Puerto Rico, and he's been living off that for
it's
3 years, dude. Stop! I don't know what's going on with this Judgment Day stuff.
But he never wrestles. It's bizarre. Like, I really don't get it.
Where's Jesus? Bring him back too. Fuck it. Why? Like, what's the deal with this Finn Balor stuff? Because it's clearly we're moving on as fans to cheer for Dominic, but somehow they want us to cheer for Finn. It's like, no, this is going to go the other way where the crowd's going to turn on Finn, regardless of the story line that's going. So we'll see.
Yeah, I almost feel, I can't say Finn Balor is a character that interests me at all in 2025, face or heel.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to get it over with, the Dom Finn match, just so we can move on with Dom with other stuff, because that reaction he had at Mania was really quite something. And I think he's earned a lot of respect from the fans over the last few years. He's really grown into his own person and has improved a lot in ring. And I going into that Mania, I think we were all like, yeah, Dom should win this. And during the match, just like at the crowd at Mania, like Gabby's were going like, fuck yeah, Dom, let's go Dom. But Finn Balor kind of, at this stage in his career, kind of bores me to tears, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, he just hasn't done it. Like, what have you done for me lately? Like, everything in his WWE career, there hasn't been necessarily highlights. He's just been there. He's been a guy who's been there, and maybe you think highlights, you think of the Demon humping the ringside floor, but I don't know. There's been good moments, NXT and stuff, but I think we've moved on, and he's just still kind of doing the same thing. Love his drip, but still, I don't know. It's just
that isn't great.
Yeah, fair enough. I just like that shirt that looks like the WCW one. I think that's just what
right.
But yeah, so like I checked out Raw. I was cool to see also Stephanie Vicaire show up on the show, and Roxanne Perez. Obviously, we talk about these two often on this show because they are on NXT, but it sounds like kind of like this is a call up here. I mean, we're recording this. NXT just went off the air. As we'll get into the whole show, I'm wondering, I haven't been on Twitter, was this Roxanne's kind of swan song for NXT? Did she take the curtain call? Because like she should be called up to Raw. I thought the match with Rhea Ripley was awesome. Rhea threw her. That Razor's Edge, bro.
I think like Roxanne's had some good moments, you know, especially the Royal Rumble showing, but this one I think really made us stand out. And I wasn't mad at all about the non-finish because it does protect Roxanne, and she was going toe-to-toe with Rhea. I see this as a way, because we've had a few, haven't we? We've had Roxanne, we've had Stephanie, we've had Julia, all coming up. I think Fraxium were on SmackDown, weren't they? And we had like the singles match with Axiom and Gunther and Nathan Fraser with Rey Fenix. I think they're kind of just educating the like main roster fans who these people are, and I believe the draft is happening after Backlash. So I think that is when we get the official call up. We see what brand they're on. But right now, they're just letting us know who these people are. And I don't mind that. I think it's a smart idea. And it does good cross-promotion, you know, having EO on NXT tonight. And people might go like, we liked Roxanne on Raw, so let's check her out tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I see that's maybe what they're doing. Now, whether that means Vicaire is going to lose to who I would think from the match they've set up next week would be Jordynne Grace, maybe. Whether they have her flip the title to her as quickly as that, or whether she's just, you know, staying in NXT for now, I don't know. But Roxanne and Julia, I think, are kind of call-ups now at this point.
Yeah, it just like a few weeks in a row now of having this like synergy with these stars. And I'm sure at first glance, some people would be like, oh, who are these people? Who are these? Who's Julia? If you're not familiar, you'd be maybe interested.
I wonder as well, I expect maybe a Lash Legend call up from the segment we had later. They kind of will get into it, but said like Oro Mensah is essentially moving to evolve permanently. I imagine that's where Luca Crucifino ends up
no, bro, he's dead.
Now. I think Jakara is staying down in NXT, as is Noam Dar for now. And I see Lash moving up to maybe SmackDown or something.
I'd say maybe Trick too, as he talks about later. We'll get into Hollywood Trick.
Trick.
What's the deal with all these? There's a lot of reports going around WWE superstars and these Hollywood deals. Maybe this Netflix was better than they thought because they're teasing something big with Liv Morgan getting time off to go film a Hollywood movie. Davey, what do you think Liv Morgan has got as a role? Could it be the coveted Gwen Stacy in Spider-Man?
Oh, really? Jeez.
No, okay. I'm just asking. I'm just throwing it out there. But you know, sometimes when I throw things out there, they tend to happen. I'm just saying, is that she's blonde?
So is it being said it's a big role? Whatever.
Everyone is saying, like they said on TV, which you know she could go film the Marine 12 or something. But like, I don't know. Drew McIntyre, I think, has a role. We've seen other wrestlers.
She like fits the part, I think,
right?
Of Gwen, and yeah, I could possibly see that. I mean, I do think wrestling is kind of a good training for it. Unlike other sports, you know, it is like it's live soap opera every week. You're especially like sometimes these scripts are being thrown up and given new stuff right before going out. Like as someone who used to act, like learning lines isn't easy, and I think people kind of take for granted sometimes that these people aren't trained actors and they are learning on the job,
remembering lines,
act and learn lines as well as their matches and that kind of stuff. And I think something I've heard a lot is work ethic as well. You know, these wrestlers come in with kind of no egos because they're used to sort of, you know, they're used to booking their own hotels, arranging their own travel and stuff like that. And then suddenly they're having people waiting on them on these sets and stuff. And their attitude and work ethic's pretty good. So I'm not surprised more and more are transitioning, especially with the Netflix connection. I see a lot of crossover, and we see with Trick Williams doing something for the CW. It makes sense for these networks to use them as a guest part on these shows or whatever. It just helps cross promote everything.
I think you'll see, like, if Liv Morgan, if this is a really big movie, I'm just guessing, but like if it is a big movie, that's pretty cool. I think there's been reports of wrestlers trying out for, we're seeing MJF showing up in Happy Gilmore 2. That's pretty cool. Like, you're seeing crossovers of different things. And then today dropped the trailer for the Smashing Machine with the Dwayne The Rock Johnson in a role. I think the whole internet is just taken aback by, like, hey, wait, The Rock is actually acting. I'm interested in watching this movie. It definitely has my attention. It looked like a lot of people. I've never checked out the doc in full because it's based on this documentary, which I've heard for years so many good things. So maybe I heard I have to watch this before I go watch the actual movie.
When's it meant to come out? Maybe that's something we could review.
Yeah, true. Good idea. Yeah, probably down the line in a few months. If the trailer just came out now, I'm wondering if this is later in the year. Oscar buzz for The Rock, he's going to get that promo team working extra hard. And depending on how well this movie is received or how much money it makes, we can guess the WrestleMania main event for next year. Is that how this is going to work? Something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
He'll say, "Oh no, I wanted them to be in the spotlight."
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I think that was code for I'm busy. I was working.
When whilst on the subject of like Hollywood and stuff, did you hear CM Punk's comments about potential movies he'd like to do?
He said he wants to do a rom-com with Batista.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Book it.
I'd watch that. I do. Batista. He hasn't done a rom-com. Really?
No, he was like
he's in Stuber. That felt like
he's
a
in Stuber. Yeah, a bit of a buddy, more of a buddy film, which I kind of enjoyed.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was saying like both him and Batista are wanting to do a rom-com, and he was like, independently, we're kind of on the race of who does it first, but wouldn't be against doing a rom-com with Batista either. That's something we need to see for sure.
He also said he's trying to bring back Heels for Netflix, which if anyone does it, like, he would be the guy, right? Like, he's in it. Because
Netflix bought the original run of Heels.
Yeah, but if history repeats, it's like Netflix has done this before, where they've bought something to play it, and then they're like, "Oh, fuck it, let's just make a Breaking Bad movie. Let's just make." They've done like their own
exactly.
Kind of thing.
I could definitely see that coming back.
So CM Punk, if you got this kind of pull, if you're bringing back Heels, I think the people out there would also like if you brought back Glow, because I think that would have its audience. Because people, I haven't finished it myself, but you bring Glow up to some people or wrestling up, people are like, "Where's that show? It never finished." And I'm like, "Whoa, okay." People are.
It's surprising it at least have like a movie to wrap it up,
right?
Like just a 90-minute movie to kind of finish the story.
Finish the story of Glow, of Heels, of it all the wrestling shows. I see there's the Queen of the Ring movie that's playing in some theaters here in Toronto. I haven't seen it yet, but I did go see Sinners, which I've heard awesome.
It's great, right?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's like what's that Tarantino vampire movie? It's kind of like that. Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's silly, it's fun, it's vampires, but it has like some cool history and all that stuff. I thought that was definitely in the running for my fave movie this year. You can hear some talk, some discussion on that show if you follow Poison Rana in your podcast app or social media, because we have tons of free shows, including a podcast starring See No Evil and B Detroit called What Up Doe. It is for free. Go check it out. They dropped an episode just 2 days ago where the guys give all their thoughts on WrestleMania weekend and all the wrestling they watched, including WrestleMania 41, both nights, TakeOver, I think some indie shows as well. But then they also get into some great discussion on the vampire movie, Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan, Sinners, which has a lot of talk right now in Hollywood. And they go in depth on this in their chat, plus Last of Us and so much more. So go check up What Up Doe if you haven't already, because the guys kill it with this podcast, and they always make me laugh.
Yes, if you're listening to us right now on your phone, open your podcast app, search Poison Rana, and subscribe. It's free. And we have lots of shows on the network, including What Up Doe, which is one of my personal favorite podcasts of any network to listen to. Just love hearing B and Cino just chop it up. And also John Cena on Shot in the Dark, which he releases every week, covering all the wrestling that you might have missed in 15 minutes or less.
Absolutely. We also have Poisonrana Live. We took a break because we were post-Mania and you were on your vacation mode, but we will return this Sunday, 2 p.m. Search Poisonrana in YouTube if you haven't given us a follow. We will be live 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to talk all about some things that we haven't. I think any wrestling that we've catched in the last little while after WrestleMania, including the TLC match from SmackDown. I'm sure you've checked that out. We'll give some thoughts on that. We'll go through this upcoming week, SmackDown, Raw, whatever, AEW. They're on the road to Double or Nothing and all that kind of stuff. So they have some pretty sweet stuff announced for tomorrow's show as well. So definitely looking forward to chatting about that. So catch us live with Poisonrana Live this Sunday, 2 p.m. and the audio out later that afternoon. But we have more. We have a Patreon, fully Canadian, patreon.com/Poisonrana. It's $5 to become a friend, and you get access to all the shows that we do. We've done tons of different movie reviews, some best match ever, including best match ever, Triple H. We have the sickest playlist of the game's best matches, and you can follow along as we review, rate, and dissect the water bottles, sledgehammers, and more. And if that's not enough, if Triple H isn't your style, we've gone even further back to Vegas for WrestleMania 9. We did our review where Hulk Hogan may or may not have gotten in a water sports accident. Take that how you will. I'm not talking about anything related to Eric Bischoff. But yes, Hulk Hogan getting things in the face. I didn't mean to make that second joke. But yes, we talk about Hulk Hogan stealing the title from Yokozuna and Bret Hart and so much more in Vegas. We also talk about the new documentary about WrestleMania 9. And we have a show returning tomorrow. Was Next makes a return. I know our Was Nexperts out there. We are the NXT friends, and you'll always hear us be your NXT friends. But we have a show where we go back in time and review retro NXT from the beginning. And we've made it to May 22nd, 2014, which is the go-home edition to the first ever NXT takeover, which means the next time we do a Was Next will be the first ever takeover edition, a show I don't believe we together have reviewed.
No, super excited for this one. It's been a couple of months since we've done a What's Next with Mania season and a lot of other stuff going on. We had the Elimination Chamber month as well, which was busy for us in the city. So yeah, super excited to get back into 2014 NXT and on the road to the first ever takeover. So it's all on the Vault now, I believe, as well. So it's
YouTube.
Easy. It's easy for you to access this just on the YouTube NXT Vault. Give it a search, and we'd love to hear your feedback for this one. Also in this month, we've got episode 9 of The Champ Is Here, which is the big John Cena Batista rivalry, WrestleMania. I think there's an I Quit match in the mix, and we'll be joined by Benno and Hamflet. Benno, who is now in, I believe, Southeast Asia. He finally made it over there.
He's in the White Lotus.
He's been posting lots of pictures. So, yeah, excited to catch up with those guys. I'm sure it'll be a pretty great show. So that's coming up later in the month, along with a bunch of other episodes of Up Yours, going through your picks. Some of you want to become a world champion, a family member patron, and they get to pick whatever they want for us to review. So we'll be knocking some of those off the list, which is always a fun show for us to do because we're all over the spectrum with that show.
Absolutely. Patreon.com/Poisonrana. If you haven't given us a shot, click the website, go to a link, take a look at all the other shows that we've done over the years. It's pennies per podcast, and you can connect to your podcast app, your RSS feed. It's a beauty. It really is. We got you covered. Hours of podcasts about wrestling, silly movies, and so much more. And hey, that's not enough, because the last plug, we have a show on the Post Wrestling Patreon.
We do.
Upcoming this week, Davey, because when one of us goes off to have kids, the others make the hot tag for the save. And that is what we will be doing, because we have been invited. I say we, the BDE, Poisonrana, Braden and Davey have been invited by John Pollock to review WrestleMania 32. Quite possibly the worst fucking WrestleMania ever.
Oh no, there are worse. There are worse than this WrestleMania.
I looked at the card today. I was like, Jesus Christ, this looks bad.
This was a show I was at, and I haven't started the rewatch yet, but I know I have a lot of things I want to talk about on this show, because not the best WrestleMania, but certainly a newsworthy one. I think there was a lot of weird stuff going on around this time for WrestleMania. So yeah, I'm super excited to do this show with the first show, just the three of us, I think, since Home Alone 2. And
we got Home Alone 3 in the bag, by the way. I got that secured.
Yeah, I think we might need to record it in like November or something to just make sure it happens. But yes, very excited.
Very excited. We'll be reviewing WrestleMania 32. More information. Follow the socials. Poisonrana. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, all that stuff. Give us a follow and follow along. We appreciate. And yeah, we can't do this without our postmarks, our NXT friends. But we're here to talk about NXT, so let's do that. But I do see a beautiful super chat, because they are welcome here in the Post Wrestling YouTube, from Jake from the Windy City, who says, Bray, just finished your SNL 50 show with John and Jordan. Great show. What do you guys think of SNL launching a version in the UK on Sky? Surprisingly, Lorne Michaels himself will be in charge of it. Yes, thank you very much, Jake. Appreciate that. John Pollock said it was his favorite podcast he's ever done in his entire life. Ask him. Quote him on that. He said it. He said it himself. I didn't know Lorne Michaels was going to be a part of that. That's like Vince McMahon killing Brit Rez and then being like, I'm actually going to be in charge of it now, though. I guess there wasn't one to begin with. But SNL being in the UK, will that translate over there, Davey? You guys love your panel shows, but
I think it could. Yeah, panel shows are huge in the UK. Like there's a lot of like comedy and comedians doing stuff in the UK. If you don't know what a panel show is, like just a quiz show where it really doesn't matter who wins or loses, but it's comedians trying to
pop each other.
Yeah, pop each other. They're super popular. There's also such a huge theater scene in the UK. Like you know, a lot of theater, like West a lot End. Of great actors and stuff coming all over the country. So the talent is certainly there for a show like that. Whether the appetite will be there, I think the main thing is they can't try to be American, if you know what I mean. Like British humor, American humor are very different. And I think when shows haven't worked, and I'm thinking of like, you know, The In-Betweeners is a popular show in the UK, and then the Americans try to do it and it just doesn't work. I think it's got to have its British sense of humor. And if it tries to lean too much into like the American style, I think audiences would reject it. It does have to feel British for it to work.
I think it will. I think it will have to be British. They'll use the C word freely. You know, because SNL also like can be very political, and then they also do the music thing. That's a big part of it. So like, yeah. I feel like it would go hand in hand with, like, you guys are on the ball with comedy and stuff as well. So I'm interested to see. I would definitely be checking it out. But thank you, Jake, for that. And if you haven't, check out our SNL 50 show, where John, Jordan, and I go like 3 hours plus on all our favorite SNL, top 5 everything, plus the 50th special. If you haven't, I think it's on both patrons, the Poisonrana and the Post. If you haven't checked it out already, because SNL is, what have they done since the guy walked off after the show? I wish we got to talk about that, because was the Morgan Wallen going to God's country and all that thing. Yeah, ridiculous. Anyways, thank you, Jake. Now we can talk about some NXT. Let's talk about NXT from Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. We get a recap of everything that's going on. Stand and Deliver has gone and went. We had NXT in Vegas last week. We had Joe Hendry there. We had a lot of stuff. And we start off with the commentary of Corey Graves, Booker T, and Vic Joseph. And Vic Joseph says, yeah, you know, last week Joe Hendry showed up, and oh, wouldn't you know it, he said his name. He said the thing. Say his name, and he appears, because out comes Joe Hendry. Wave your hands side to side. And the crowd here in the PC start to chant, "We believe." And Booker, do you believe? Joe grabs the microphone. He says, Trick, you know why I'm here. You showed up. Not only you got in my face last week and I had to do what I had to do, but then you showed up at Rebellion on TNA this week, and the crowd start to chant, "Whoop that Trick." And Hendry says, don't worry, I'm gonna whoop that Trick. And Trick, no one was talking about you last week. They were all talking about me. And I bet that makes you hurt inside. And you're using me. And this is, I think, when Trick comes out and interrupts him. No, sorry. Trick doesn't come out here. Trick is like way later. My apologies. He says, you're using me and I won't fall for it. And if you say my name, I'll make your ass disappear, Trick. And when you think Trick is coming out, it's not. It's Dark State. Their music hits and the lights go all crazy. And they attack Joe Hendry. And they hit him with the high spirits shield bomb, as I call it. And they lay him out and stand tall. I guess continuing the, hey, is Trick kind of affiliated with these guys? Sort of. We've seen he's not, but
I mean, maybe they go there. I mean, they have fought against Trick in the past. Like, so I don't know about that. But yeah, I appreciate that they're still continuing this crossover with TNA. You know, it feels like a proper partnership now. There's a lot of back and forth. They're not afraid to mention the company. They're not afraid to mention, you know, the show that happened, and not just sending your like minor talent to a TNA show, but Trick Williams, he's like your main star in NXT to Rebellion. I'm not particularly excited about the combination. I guess it's a good way of getting Trick Williams over as a heel because he's up against a beloved figure in Joe Hendry. I think I said the other week, personally, I'm a little bored of the Joe Hendry thing now at this point, but I know a lot of people still seem to be very much into him. So I guess this is a match we're going to have at Battleground, perhaps, although we do have that Battle Royal next week. So I'm not sure. Or is this going to lead to Trick versus Joe for a TNA championship down the line?
Yeah, like it's weird because this just sounds like, hey, Trick, I want to fight you. And you would assume it would be Battleground because that's our next PLE. But then you get the Dark State interference. We're going to go to a match with that. But then later Trick will come out. I'm getting ahead of myself, but basically says like, hey, I'm a TNA star now too, kind of. So does that mean he's going to go for the TNA World Championship? So I guess you'll have to watch TNA to find out, but we'll get to that part, I guess. But yeah,
I mean, possibly it's Joe Hendry costs Trick the Battle Royal next week, and we get a different person challenging Oba Femi.
I think that's
which could be you have Trick versus Joe for the TNA Championship at Battleground.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, true. I like the Joe Hendry thing. He was the most like memed wrestler. Like it feels like he was just the most over thing, especially with the internet wrestling, all that kind of stuff. But it's kind of, we've moved on a little bit. And then the WrestleMania thing, it's like, all right, let's give him his moments, give him his flowers. And then now we're continuing. But what I need from Joe is to like really step it up. Like, especially when it comes to the wrestling. Now we didn't get any on the show. He will be wrestling next week. Mind you, I don't check out a whole lot of TNA, but like there needs to be like some sort of evolution with this character. We've seen him do the singing in NXT, and the songs he chose to sing in NXT I thought were just wet farts, whereas the ones I've seen in TNA or before, it's been way more creative and what's brought him kind of to the dance. And then when he's here, he's just doing the most like cookie cutter stuff. So I'm not the most excited about Trick versus Joe.
I think as well, like Trick has been, and I feel we have this with every single feud, he's been very hit and miss in these big matches. And the Oba Femi Javon Evans match was fantastic. It was spectacular. His matches against Ilya Dragunov were great. But then you have an Ethan Page feud or something like that. And I don't see Joe Hendry being spectacular enough in ring to drag a good match out of Trick. So I can't say the feud particularly interests me in that sense, but I do see it as a way to kind of establish Trick more heavily as, no, he's an actual heel now.
Yeah, I do think he's definitely leaned into the more heel, and Joe's obviously the baby face, and people want to cheer because he's TNA and all that. And he's still, I guess, popular with the song and everything, but we shall see. We go to earlier today, Ava in her office with the WWE Women's World Champion, IYO SKY, who has returned. She says, welcome back to NXT. And IYO asks for a match here tonight, but she needs to find a partner. When Jordynne Grace walks in and says, I'll be your partner. So Ava makes the match official for tonight, our main event, which was announced earlier today. IYO SKY, Jordynne Grace taking on Roxanne Perez and Julia. And I was very excited when they announced this match because I've been saying I wanted to see Julia and IYO tie it up in WWE, and here they are dangling it right in front of me, but in a tag match. But enough for me. So I was ready. As soon as IYO SKY is announced for NXT, I'm ready. I'm in the zone. So I was excited about this.
Like as soon as I saw that graphic, I'm like, the combinations you're getting out of this match are going to be so exciting.
Absolutely, for sure. I'm still buzzing off of WrestleMania. I joke that WrestleMania Night 2, the ending, may be one of the worst finishes or just flat out main events in WrestleMania history. I'll say that, but I'll also, on the flip side, say that triple threat, I said it already, is possibly the best women's match in WWE history. Possibly one of the best WrestleMania matches. IYO SKY, Rhea Ripley, and Bianca. Like, it was awesome. And I'm seeing even Uncle Dave likes women now. Look at that. Getting the 5-star treatment. Rightfully so. Rightfully fucking so. So
it felt kind of reluctant when you see the other star ratings for the other women's matches on the show, but yeah.
No, I didn't look at any of those. No, never mind all that. It doesn't matter. Star ratings don't matter. No, it doesn't matter. Yeah. I really loved that match, and it's the only one out of that entire weekend that I've watched twice. And then the next day she fought Stephanie Vicaire, which we talked about last week, which is like she went 2 for 2, and then the match tonight, which was also fun. So yeah, IYO SKY proving yet again she's killing it right now. We get a recap of Tatum Paxley and Gigi. They came up short last week with the WWE women's tag titles. They're talking to Karmen Petrovic here, and she's like, don't worry, you'll get them next time. And they're talking about how they lost also at Rebellion, even though they didn't get pinned or something like that. And I don't know, I didn't watch TNA, but Ashanti, the Adonis, shows up and says, hey, girl, don't be mad at me anymore. We need to talk. I got you a match. And she's not interested. And he's like, no, I got you a match, says Ashanti. I got you a match against Sol Ruca. And she's like, oh, really? Yeah. And it's for the North American title. And it's tonight. And Carmen's like, what do you mean tonight? I'm not ready. So she goes and gets ready for this matchup. So Ashanti doing the right thing here, trying to save the relationship by going and getting her a title shot. Smart move.
Doing the right thing. He comes in and says, what are you doing hanging out with these losers? And also it ended up not being a title match. So he didn't even... No, there's a bit of story later in the show with Kalani about her not defending the title regularly. So it was just a non-title match.
No. Kalani later says, oh, you defend against like shitty people. Like,
no, she was like, I was putting the title on the line every match. Why did you not do that? It was non-title. Because I then heard after this, they were like 2 title matches tonight, meaning North American and tag team. But yeah,
either way, he got you a match with the champion.
You beat the champion, you get a title
eliminator,
match,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the other show. We go to Lexis King taking on Ricky Saints. This is a title match for the North American Championship. Ricky putting his title on the line against King. King last week lost his Heritage Cup, so no more cup for King, but he's going after some gold here tonight. We have Ricky on the offense, but King does this counter where he looks like he kicks him right in the mush here. Ricky then gets the offense and then starts to do his taunt on the guardrail here with the crowd. When we come back from break, Ricky is in control and counters King with a suplex into the ring. They both do a running cross body. King is in control and hits a senton off the top. And this is when Booker is like, Swanton! And Vic is like, what? He's saying Swanton. He's like, I don't understand what you're asking me. He's not doing that. And he's like, no, he's hitting a swanton. And Vic is like, I didn't realize that that's what you were saying this whole time. But this is when I was also, I'm not sure if this happened for you, but the audio was out of sync for the first maybe 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, I noticed in the Joe Hendry promo.
So even though my audio was out of sync, I could still hear Booker T losing his goddamn mind about swanton bombs and everything here. But anyways, there's a huge spine buster from Ricky, almost like a one-handed spine buster boss man slam. It looked pretty cool. And then it's only a 2 count, but King goes for the coronation, but it's blocked. Ricky hits a huge tornado DDT off the ropes, and then the Rochambeau for the 1, 2, 3. Ricky retains in a pretty quick match, but I don't think it got to maybe the levels I thought it was going to, but the cool DDT and finish, I guess, was nice.
Yeah, I thought this was very basic, considering Ricky Saint's ability as well. And we've seen, I kind of, now Lexis King is a heel again. I think the character work is like, he's so unlikable as a heel, but his wrestling, he's so much more interesting to watch as a babyface. And I really feel he's just regressed back to how he was before the babyface turn earlier in the year. Like I found this very dull. I found his offense very dull. Watching on Netflix rather than the CW, we get the picture-in-picture, which it was just all, you know, Lexis dominating in picture-in-picture. We come back from break. There's the DDT and the Rochambeau for the win. Booker continuing in picture-in-picture to shit on Ricky Saints, just calling him all style and no substance and all that kind of stuff, which is interesting. But this really did nothing for me, and I'd like to see Ricky have more interesting dance partners.
We don't have them though. We don't have these people. That's why we were
teeing up a Wes feud, which he's just vanished.
So Battleground, would you go that direction?
I mean, I was almost expecting Wes to attack him after the match, but he's kind of just been missing since pre-Mania, it feels.
Like, we had Ricky come in and we were like, cool, we need people like this in NXT, because everyone raves about the women's division, but the men's was kind of lacking in the last year, 2 years. And Ricky is a nice little shot in the arm, but we need more than just him. We need some other people. Like, we have Wes, sure, but will we see a Jeff Cobb be introduced into NXT? Will we see some new people from LFG or Evolve, or some new signings finally, you know, who've been in the lab cooking up, maybe show up and see? Because this, yeah, like, I don't know where you go with Lexis King. Would you just move him up eventually? He's not there yet, but like, what else is there to do with him here, you know?
Yeah, I mean, he's not good enough to be world title picture. No, he's just going to float around these mid-card titles and have kind of nothing feuds. I'm not sure. I'm not sure with him. Maybe a tag team, like find him a partner or something.
Yeah.
Where's Griff Garrison?
Griff Garrison. Who the fuck is Griff Garrison?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, put him in a tag team with another bad guy. Like,
yeah,
you know, too bad the Miz already has a tag team partner.
Yes.
It'd be great together. What would their Mellow don't Miz, you know, that's just, it writes itself, but
yeah.
I can't think of what their team name would be, but that's just the easiest thing. What do you do with someone? I don't know, put them in a tag team with the Miz.
Yeah. It's like Waller or Theory or someone like that would work. Yeah. But yeah, I'm kind of losing interest in Lexis again.
Make him a Paul Heyman guy.
Sure.
We go to a video. We go to that spooky room here. It's the Cullen family, the Culling, and they're having a meeting. It's all serious in the dark with lights on. And Sean Spears talking to Nico, Izzy, and Brooks. He says, you've fallen short lately. Says that the title slipped out of your chances for title slipped out of your hands, and Izzy, you were fingertips away from grabbing that title in the ladder match, and sometimes you just need to take it. You need to take the initiative. Look at Hank and Tank; they're champions because their relationship together, and that's what we need. That's what we need. We need to get on the same page. We need to cease control. So the Culling coming soon. They might be going for some titles here. He did have that last week where he said he was going to move things in their favor, like try to make them get maybe some opportunities and stuff. So I guess we'll go that way.
So do you see Izzy attacking Soul sometime down the line or something like that?
Yeah, like Izzy going after Soul, that could be your battleground. I think we'll get a tag title match between Nico and Brooks as well. And
yeah.
I don't know. Like,
I'm not interested in these guys. Like, it's such a shame because Brooks has been someone we've been high on in the past, and he's just been stripped of all personality. Like, the guy barely talks anymore. He just seems a lot less interesting. I don't think this is an interesting group.
It's not.
It's really not. And, you know, Nico Vance, what we've seen, like, scary looking guy, like he had some good, big power moves. We haven't watched a whole lot of him, but he's somewhat impressed in his matches. But these characters just aren't interesting. And Sean Spears as this cult leader, we've seen it is the dyad or schism or whatever that was all over again. And I think it's dragging them down rather than boosting them up.
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's the chair guy.
Yeah,
it's the chair lad. We get a recap of what was going on with Tony and Stax, and we're supposed to have a face-to-face in just a little bit, but will that happen? We get a commercial for Evolve, and then we get Tony D'Angelo showing up. He's got all these Italian men. Is that the best way to describe these men on the apron? Italian men,
sure.
Italian men doing the Italian job here, all on the ringside, all around Tony, who's in the ring. Very nice suit here. He says, everyone kept saying, did you see it coming, Tony? Did you see it coming? Did you know that Stax was going to do this? And he goes, I don't know, because Stax was always part of the family, but his impulsivity was an issue. And you see, he kept trying to do things his way, but I'm the Don of the family. And since nobody's heard from Luca, Rizzo's gone in hiding. Very, Goodfellas, Godfather. We get a video. Stax is on screen. Hey, Tony, up here. We see Stax is on a bridge somewhere. I'm not quite sure what he was doing. Maybe he was making sure Luca was sleeping with the fishes.
Yeah.
He says up here, I was thinking about going down there and going into that ring and staring you down in front of you, face to face, and staring you into those Manson lamps. Is he referring to his eyes? He then says, but nah, because you make me sick. Tony, you've been making bad decisions, and you're just not capable of leading us anymore. So you weren't going to lead the family to the main roster. I mean, to the promised land. So I had to take the reins myself, says Stax. He goes, I don't know. You don't know who you can trust anymore. But that's when he starts to laugh. And some of the Italian men attack Tony.
No, it was the security, because
the Italian men didn't do anything.
No, he thought, he was like, you don't know who to trust. And he looks at the men, which was the perfect opportunity for them to turn. But they just did nothing. And it was the security stacks.
The jobber cops.
Yeah.
So a bunch of these guys in all black attack Tony, and these old Italian men don't even have Fugazi right here. These guys
useless.
Just watching Tony get beat up in the ring, but Tony fights them off and says, "Oh yeah, Stax, you're too scared to face me. Well, you'll see what happens." So, yeah, what will happen? Eventually, we got to get to this meeting, but I don't know. Is this? We kind of said it last week, Davey. Luca going to Evolve, Rizzo possibly going away and coming back with a new character. Did they come to the realization when they found out, hey, will we put Chase U on the main roster? I don't know. And then they kind of moved on, and they kind of moved back, as we'll get into. But is that the same here? Are we going to actually see them cut this, or is this all part of some mobster story where we will get them all back together?
I think Tony needs to move up at this point. So I could see this being, similar to, the who's the real tribal chief. We'll get who is the real Don of NXT. Stax can beat Tony, and Tony can be the Don of SmackDown or something like that.
Right.
On his own. I think Rizzo especially needs more time in development. And Stax could be, I think he's ready to kind of stand on his own. He is someone I could see in that North American title picture. He's someone they should kind of put a bit of a rocket on. And I think that's the way you go. You lead up to who is the real Don. And I think Stax should win that. And Tony, with the draft coming up, that could be a good time to move him up.
Who is the real Don coming? So I imagine Battleground, we get some sort of match. But, we've seen a bunch of these street fights. We've seen the restaurant. We need a true Italian style street fight.
Yeah, what would you call this? It's going to have some kind of mobster name to it, right?
Yeah, we need them to go all out here. We need the Cinematch, I guess, to come back with someone getting shot.
I don't need that. I don't.
Someone gets put in, Tony D gets sent away, right? When they killed Pretty Deadly, they just ended up on the main roster. So you could do the same thing here, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. The interest in it is definitely slipping away from me because we've seen the Mafia, this story over and over and over. And I don't know, like, will they pull the trigger and just put Tony on SmackDown and try it? Like, it's an experiment. Will this character eventually get over? And I'd honestly say it probably would, at least at first, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
you have the guy coming out with the Italian pose, the hat, the suits. Like,
I can absolutely see him as
audience.
US champion sometime down the line. You know, like I think it could work.
Right? Like, there's a fine line of, you know,
but you should build him up like they did in NXT originally. Have the vignettes. Like, don't just have him show up on SmackDown. You should have the vignettes running for a month or so before bringing him in.
Yeah, and then we need Nunzio. We need we need however we can get this guy, you know, to work. Because I don't know. I feel like you got to try. Like, it's sink or swim at this point. We've had him in NXT for so long.
He's been 3 years now.
It's been a while, and everyone else has seemed to have moved on. So it's kind of like, try it and see if it works. Because I do think there would be, at least for a little bit, like, not saying just a flavor of the month, but like an Italian Mafia character might not be for everyone, but I would argue it probably would be for some people. So
yeah,
book it.
We've had crazier stuff.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like, I know we're in this like reality era or whatever era we're in, I guess the Paul Levesque era, but like, we've got weirder things. You know, there's still like the Wyatt, wherever those people are. I guess they haven't been on TV in a while, but like, we've got all these weird characters and stuff, like luchadors and all. Like, fuck it, let's go. We need it. Mafia characters, book it. We see a recap. Noam Dar returned last week to win back his Heritage Cup, his coveted cup that this man has loved, and we haven't seen him in many, many months. But here he is backstage in the Metaphor Hangout when we see the Metaphor reunion, but it's sadly short-lived. We see Ora Mensa, Lash legend Jakara Jackson, and Noam Dar. Ora rocking a very hot pink fuzzy cheetah print bucket hat.
Love it.
Which I don't know where you got it, but I definitely want it. Not to be outdone by Noam Dar's anime inspired hoodie here. I couldn't quite catch what it was, but also a very stylish group here, the Metaphor. Lash says, "Oh, it's so happy." They hug, they embrace, and Noam says, "It's so happy to be here." When Lash says, "We need to talk." Fellas, nothing ever really good comes after you hear those words. They sit down. Lash says, "Aura's been this whole time trying to be Noam's main man, but I think it's time Ora becomes Aura's main man. And Miss Jackson, I think she's got to be on her own action, on herself. And Lash, she got to be on herself and lash out. And you know him, you got to do things with your cup your own way. We'll always be the Metaphor, but we got to go our separate ways." So they all hug. They know what's best for themselves. And it's like the last episode of Friends where they all just leave and Noam Dar is sitting there alone. And then I'm pretty sure you could hear Booker T crying on commentary. Booker, I don't know what was on. I'll say it. Booker T was on one because I swear, was he crying or laugh? I don't know what was going on. But anyways, the Metaphor no more here on NXT. Thoughts?
The main thing, I'm disappointed they've split up Lash and Jakara. I think they're probably going to try a Lash Legend singles run on the main roster, is what I imagine. But WWE is so weird with their tag divisions because they, like, Lash and Jakara were one of the only actual established tag teams in NXT, yet they always seem to be on the losing end against just makeshift teams. Like, you should really try and build up some women's tag teams to actually have that division mean something on the main roster. So I was kind of surprised that they split these two up, especially since they mentioned they've had matches in Saudi, they've had matches on SmackDown, etc. So that's something I found a little strange, and I worry that Jakara could kind of get a little lost in the mix if she's staying in NXT. Oro hasn't been on TV for a while anyway, it feels, since the Ethan Page feud. So I guess they're keeping him in evolve now by the sounds of it. I enjoyed the metaphor as an act, but I thought you could have kept the meta girls together.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad we're breaking those two up, considering we've watched them in a little bit. But I guess it is cut, like I said, with the Tony D'Angelo thing. It's like, hey, it's like, sink or swim at this point. Like cut what's not working and move what it, like, if Lash kind of was the breakout of it, let's see what she can do. And I do think what she was kind of saying, leading this promo here, like saying we're done listing everything, it kind of sounds like she's on to something, or they have plans for her. Yeah. And main roster maybe would be the thing. I think if she got a chance, she has come from, especially in her early days in NXT when she wasn't very good. And she has really like stepped up in not only like character wise, like speaking promo, but like the wrestling. And I don't know, like maybe they do have something with her. We'll have to see.
I wonder if you could have her. I mean, it would be a character change, but have her be like muscle for Naomi. And like, right, because they're continuing the feud with Jade. Jade obviously like beat Naomi pretty. Yeah, I mean, it was a fair match, but it was still pretty convincing win for Jade. Whether that could be the way Lash comes in, because she's got the height and would definitely be able to go toe to toe with Jade, like physically. So I could see them maybe doing something like that with her.
It's also funny because like we keep for months or years we always joke like, yo, just give us, they keep teasing NXT with the women's titles and then they take it away. And then I'm not saying you should have gave them to Gigi and Pax last week, but you see on Raw this week that like, oh yeah, Liv's gonna go away for a while, blah blah blah. It's like, so you could have gotten rid of the titles beforehand or whatever, but yeah, they flip-flopped a whole lot. Did they say Raquel was a 7-time champion?
I think so. Yeah, because who was her other partner? She was with Dakota, wasn't she? I can't remember.
Dakota, who's that?
Yeah.
Or is she on the bench? Forget. Yeah. We go to Sol Ruca with Zarya taking on Karmen Petrovic with Ashanti. And we have a one-on-one match here. Sol Ruca starts things off, hits an X Factor to Karmen here. Vic on commentary is talking about the promo earlier with Ashanti, how he was like, yeah, then we'll be champion down the line. And Vic is like, what is this we stuff? And Booker's like, like we. And Graves is like, we as in like when you're a couple, everything is we. And he's like, I don't know about that. Zarya saves Sol from like a moonsault crash and burn here, and then slaps her bum and says, get back in there. Karmen and Sol do like this back and forth where they're countering each other's kicks and kind of doing these kip ups and stuff. Sol hits a series of like these springboard strikes and then a backpack stunner for a near fall. She goes for the Soul Snatcher, but it's blocked. And then did Ashanti get involved here as well with Karmen, or was this just Ashanti? Was this just Karmen getting countered? Because I look up and there's the Soul Snatcher, a second attempt, but this one connects and Sol pins Karmen. And then after the match, it's Ashanti. Shout out my man Tahuti Miles here. Tries to comfort her. Like, oh, I'm sorry you lost. And finally, Karmen has had enough and kicks him in the head. So Karmen and Ashanti, they are done. Dunskies.
I felt like they did a few weeks of storytelling in like 5 minutes here.
Mm-hmm.
Like they seemed, last time we saw Karmen and Ashanti together, they seemed all over each other. Karmen kind of finally accepted like Ashanti helping her and was like leaning a little heel. And here it was just, they have a little tiff backstage and they're done. So, I kind of feel it's a bit premature. I don't know what they have planned for either of them moving forwards, but I can't say I really thought much of the match. I do think Sol's great. I think she's really smooth, and how quickly she's picked everything up is awesome to see. And I think she's the right person to be this North American champion. But I didn't think a whole lot of this, and felt it a little bit premature to do this split.
Yeah, I also I think Sol is incredible, especially in ring, like to watch. She's so entertaining, and I'm so happy that she's got this title, and I can't wait to see where she goes further in NXT and WWE. But Karmen is someone who's like, we saw a little bit. They're like, hey, karate expert. She's from Toronto. We're like, all right, cool. This blonde's got everything. And then they put her in like a romantic storyline, which is like weird. But I guess it's like, hey, we got to try different things out here. It's NXT, right? You got to show a whole variety of skills.
It's giving you story, right? Like it's better than she's
nothing.
Not in the title mix, so it's better than nothing. But
yeah, so now that that's maybe run its course, like we could see, but I don't think the match got into anywhere that maybe I thought it could, because I feel like Karmen is better than just this, but we'll have to see. And then are we eventually, like we'll say this probably for a long time, because we didn't get the split at Stand and Deliver, but Zarya eventually will probably want to go after Soul for this title, right? Like,
I mean, we've got a segment a little later with Kalani as well, where hinting at something there, I think.
So after this, Trick Williams comes out shirtless, oiled up, looking jacked, ready to fight. He says, Joe Hendry, I'm looking for you. Joe Hendry. Let me try that again. Joe Hendry. Oh, so I say your name a few times and now somehow yo ass has disappeared. Thought that was pretty funny. He knows he was attacked, Trick, you heel. You knew he was attacked earlier, you slimy. He says, oh, I thought every time someone says your name, you appear. I guess that ain't the case. That's because, Joe, you don't belong here. Yeah, you had my number. Maybe Trick Williams was out of character last week. Some would say Trick Williams crashed out, but I saw you get one up on me, so I had to come after you and get my revenge. I took me a first-class ticket to whoop your ass. I went to Hollywood to Rebellion because I had some things to do. I was in LA anyways, so Big Trick Willie hitting the big screen, and I was like, oh, the big screen. I'm like, fuck, maybe he's going to be in a movie too. No, he says he's going to be on the CW in the season finale of the All-American show. Not Paul American, but the All-American. I don't know how big that screen is, but
yeah, it felt like, I mean, power to him. This is great.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing acting jobs and whatever.
Yeah.
It did feel like a little bit like The Miz gloating about his straight-to-DVD movies. It's like, yeah, and you can find me in season 7 of this show I have never heard of. But
so Hollywood Trick chants ring out here, and he goes, yeah, you hear that, Joe? I'm Hollywood Trick. And Joe Hendry, you're just local talent. See, people talk about The Rock, John Cena, Trick Williams. Well, Joe, you can't see me. This is when Ava comes out, and she goes, Trick, last week you were going nuts. You destroyed a camera, and then you went to a different promotion to attack their champion. And he goes, yeah, well, I'm the biggest star here, and going forward, maybe I'll be the biggest star elsewhere too, like in TNA. And she goes, oh, is that so? Well, next week you might get your chance to get a title shot again, because there will be a 25-man battle royale, and the winner will face Oba Femi at Battleground for the NXT Championship. So a lot to unpack. I like Hollywood Trick. I like the fact that he's a heel now, and whether you know what American made on the CW or not, it is very Miz of him to be like, oh yeah, I'm Hollywood, big screen. Catch me season 7 finale of a... I hope he's not just like some jail cell prisoner or like police officer like walking by in the background. Like, I hope he's actual like part. I hope he's not like the doctor. Like, he needs an actual part of,
I see this run as very reminiscent to what they did with Bron Breakker towards the end, where we felt Bron is probably ready to move up, but then they turned him heel, and it was like, let's try and get something else out of him. Big Time Baxter in the chat says Trick seems like he's in a holding pattern. I don't know why the main roster call up is being dragged out, but I think it is to try and discover a different side of Trick. Like, we haven't had him play the serious heel. He came in as a bit of a comedy lackey for Carmelo when he was a heel, and then has been the baby face. So it's trying to like find a different side of him and develop that side of him before moving up. And I don't mind that. I think unless you have a plan for someone on the main roster, you've already had a few call-ups. You've already had your, Lucha Bros going to the main roster, Rusev coming back, Aleister Black coming back. Unless you've got something ready for these people, why rush it? And especially the men's division, we said this with Ricky Starks, you do need some of these stars still there. So I don't mind this. I do think, though, we should possibly change the theme, like once he becomes fully heel. Because
wait. Okay, Hollywood Trick, you need whoop it. Like
yes,
the Hollywood.
Exactly. You need something changing it. I was thinking the same. The helicopter light and all that.
The best fucking theme ever, by the way. Come on. That and the Brood theme. But
yeah. Because the crowd want a chant. And I think the crowd is still a little confused whether they should be cheering Trick or not.
Yeah.
And he's really trying to, like this week especially, really leaning into the heel. So I think it's time to, maybe you could debut it at Battleground in whatever match, but there needs to be a little bit more presentation change. But I like this. I think he sounds great in this role.
I think that like him coming out, shirtless, Jack, we've seen him do that before, but he's leaning the more heel. I think it is more interesting for him. I'm kind of, I do think, is this just because they want to bring him up to the main roster, but they're just not quite sure yet. They're going to have this draft. Maybe we got to wait till when we do that, but they're like, oh, what should we do? So it's in this like weird holding pattern. Yeah, that's exactly.
Also, if you are going the Hollywood route with it, Miz is with Carmelo. Miz is the Hollywood guy.
Whoa,
it all comes together.
Mello, whoop that Mello, don't Miz.
I meant more Trick kicking out Miz, but sure, why not? Have the three of them.
Yeah. I'm kind of for it. Like, I actually, Trick in the last year, I'd say the wrestling maybe not his hit. He was part of the amazing triple threat match this past, WrestleMania season at Stand and Deliver. But overall, I think everyone can kind of like, the wrestling maybe came second to like his promo game, his mic skills. And I do think he's really league above a lot of people on the mic. And I'm talking main roster people. So like, as soon as maybe he gets, I feel like if he were him and Mello in this heel role could really do some fun stuff when it comes to the mic. So I am interested to see where that goes. But yeah, Hollywood Trick coming soon. Maybe one day we could watch American Made season 7 finale and see what happens. Does this mean he's a new character?
Have you ever heard of this show, by the way?
American Made? No.
Yeah.
Is it like a soap? Okay. CW, right? Okay, hold on. Yeah. It's not the Paul American, right? American Made. Is this a car show? American Made. Wait, am I saying this right? Is that what it is?
All American. All American.
All American CW network. All right, let's take a look at this. Okay, it looks great. Someone with a football, someone with a cowboy hat. I don't know, but we'll see.
I mean, it's ran for 7 seasons, but yeah, I've never heard of this show.
Yeah.
IMDb 7.6. People love it. When a star high school football player from South Central is recruited to play for Beverly Hills High School, 2 separate worlds collide. And like Trick is actually in the picture for the next episode, so he must have a big part in it.
I mean, it sounds like he's going to be in season 8. Like if they're debuting him in the finale of season 7,
right?
Usually that means he's the new addition coming in. We have someone in the chat. Shout out Wizza, who says All American used to be a big show, fell off a cliff after season 4. So we'll have to see. Thank you.
There you go.
Trick Willie making it to the CW. I'm okay with wrestlers getting the bag and showing up in other things not than wrestling. I love to see it, to be honest. So it's just funny that we're hearing all this stuff, whether it's the Liv Morgan, Trick, maybe Drew McIntyre, and all these other CM Punk, all these guys, and like Sasha Banks was in fucking Star Wars and they didn't want to tell anyone about it.
But I think that shows something. I think Triple H very much wants, I think Nick Khan very much wants these people to take other projects and fly that WWE flag wherever they can. It was the same with Batista, right? Batista's like, I'm in this Marvel movie. I think it's going to be huge. And they're like, Guardians of the Galaxy? What? I've never heard of that. It's not Superman. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think it's very much a different thing. I think with a roster as big as they have right now as well, Triple H seems willing to give people time off. Yeah, take a break. Like, distance makes the heart grow fonder, and that go and don't do another project and get your name out there and come back, because it only helps WWE, right?
What WWE wrestlers would you like to see in movies and TV shows? If you could say like some of your favorite that you think would maybe shock people, like, ooh, that'd be really good if you put someone in a TV show or a movie. Because like The Rock's doing a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. Scorsese. That's not necessarily what people like. Oh, The Rock, but maybe he's trying to do more bigger, serious.
Well, I'm thinking maybe your promo people. I think Ricky could be good.
Ricky Saints
could be good on a show. I see Trick Williams being good on a show.
I want R-Truth in the next season of White Lotus. That's
sure. Yeah. I'm halfway through season 2 now.
Okay. My least favorite season.
I jumped on that train. It's the sex season, it seems. Everyone's just having lots of sex.
With Wheeler Yuta.
Is that Christopher's son? Is that who you're thinking is Wheeler Yuta? No. Okay, Aubrey Plaza's.
Yeah, guy. Aubrey Plaza's dude. Tell me that's not Wheeler fucking Yuta.
Yeah, I see it.
And then the other dude, have you got to Will Ospreay yet?
I can't stand him. He sucks.
Season 3 was
good.
I
finished season 1 on the way to Mexico, and then on the way back on my flight, the first 4 episodes of season 2 happened to be on the plane. So I'm enjoying it. It's good.
Yeah, put R-Truth in the next. Put The Rock in there. Put someone in. I'd watch. I'll watch it anyways. But yeah, we see Roxanne and Julia backstage, and this was pretty funny. This is the new era of WWE where they're not just, hey, 2 bad guys are together now and forget everything. Roxanne's like sheepishly like, oh, hey, Julia, I was kind of a bitch to you. She doesn't say it like that, but she's like, I was kind of a bitch to you, and Julia cuts her off. Is like, no, Roxanne, you know what? You were right. I seen the dark side now. You were right. I want to be a bitch too. And it's like, damn, okay. And Julia says, together we're unstoppable. And Cora Jade just watching this somewhere, probably really upset. There was a tweet. She replied to WWE posting this video and said, that's crazy. Yeah, well, sorry, Cora. It looks like you got replaced, I guess, by Julia, because that seems to be the new alliance.
Do you think they're going to pay off this Cora story or just skip it?
I don't know. Yeah,
because it feels like Roxanne's going up very soon. So whether they want to, whether Cora comes back in the next week or so, but it wasn't like Cora got murdered at the end of that show, was it? She just lost the match. So there's no like injury story or anything. It seems a little odd.
Yeah, it's like weren't they supposed to be in the character? And then it's since moving people up and stuff, it's just like, no, let's put them together. So I'm not against it because I like Julia and Roxanne. It's just they were beefing recently, and now Julia's just turned heel. I was like, nah, you know what? Fuck it. I'm with you. Let's be bad. And I'm like, yeah. Actually, these two together, it is great. We see Oba Femi backstage. He's being interviewed, and he's asked about Trick Williams and says, Trick Williams continues to cry like a child. He says it doesn't matter whoever wins this battle royal next week because they'll have to face me, and the title will stay on Oba Femi. When he's interrupted, and I'm not joking when I say Oba Femi is interrupted by The Undertaker. The Undertaker walks in. He says, I've said it before. This is your yard now. But this is your yard for now. Because I got some guys from LFG who are coming for you really soon. And Oba's like, oh, really? Oh, really? And then the camera kind of pans, and we see some of these guys standing behind Oba Femi. Shiloh Hill, Anthony Luke, and Casper Troy. Not Castor Troy like Face Off, but Casper Troy. Nice. I see what they did there. So these guys are kind of staring, grilling Jasper Troy. My bad. Spell check, It's later announced that these guys will be in the Battle Royal next week. So Undertaker pulling some strings here at NXT. He's like, yo, Ava, me and your dad, we go way back. What if some of my LFG guys can get entered for an NXT title match? So the best part, though, was then it cuts to Vic Joseph, Booker T, sorry. And Booker's like, oh, yeah, Anthony was Anthony Luke, Jasper Troy, and tries to like cover his face and look at his notes. And Vic is like, you mean Shiloh Hill? He's like, yeah, I was choking. I was choking. I just didn't know. And they're like, yeah, you didn't know who it was.
Yes.
You forgot his name.
I like them trying to cross promote their different brands they've got going on. They're essentially their developmental brands. These are like the bigger guys as well who would kind of be in, Oba Femi's mold. So I didn't mind this cross promotion, and I do respect that since Undertaker retired, that he's only like the badass now. He's Mark now, right? Like Mark. I like that he can do this. He can do these backstage segments. He doesn't have to walk around as a ghost anymore. But yeah, we'll see what they have to offer in the Battle Royal next week.
I think it's pretty cool that they're. I can't say nothing brings me into that show. Anything I've watched of that show, it doesn't make me want to watch it. I've tried. I put it on. I think it's on Crave here. I was like, oh, cool. A&E. I guess the shows are on, so I put it on. It's just not for me. I don't like those kinds of shows. I didn't really like Tough Enough when that was on back in the day. Like, just not into that style of TV. But I can understand why this is a thing, and I think people would be into the show, and the synergy is super cool. So I can't I'm not hating on it. It's just not a show I'm that into.
Me, I got into Tough Enough back in the day, even like the weaker seasons, and I watched the first episode of this, and then like Mania came around, and it's just fallen off. And for me, I feel if this was at a slower time of year, if this was airing in like October, November, I'd probably be watching it more. But the fact that it's coming on around Mania season when there's wrestling just all the time and you feel like you need to be watching every single show, I've completely fallen off of it, apart from the clips I see highlighted on like Raw and NXT and stuff.
Like, there's a chance some of these guys or women or whoever come from this show and do make it on NXT and stuff. And I think that is cool that they're trying to, hey, look, Undertaker's here, but why is he here? Well, he's, with this show and these guys. So at least it's some sort of, they're trying synergy, and I can't, shit on that. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, okay, so these guys get a title shot. Let's go. Yeah. Shiloh Hill. Let's go. Win this thing. Jasper Troy. Take it home.
Okay. If Trick isn't winning the Battle Royal, who do you see winning it?
Yeah. I don't know. What would be the main event at Battleground? What is Oba's challenger looking like here? If we don't have Trick, is it Wesley?
I was just gonna say I keep bringing him up in like every feud, but yeah, Wesley is the only kind of person I could see winning it. If you are gonna go Trick and Joe Hendry, or are Trick and Joe Hendry both gonna be in the match, and are you gonna have a double finish and another?
Oh no, come on. Trickle threat at this point, that's too many. You can't go back to the well of that again, because I don't know. That would be too much. Joe versus Trick versus Oba. Okay, I have the list here of. Oh, this is kind of interesting. Okay, the list of the names, the graphic they put up for next week: Ethan Page, Timothy Thatcher, Chris Island. Yeah,
Timothy Thatcher,
because he's in Evolve, right? He's like the coach, and he's been wrestling in Evolve.
Oh wow, okay.
Timothy Thatcher versus Oba Femi. Book it right now. So Timothy Thatcher, Chris Island, Shiloh Hill, Ridge Holland, Sean Legacy, Brad Baylor, Ricky Smokes, Ethan Page, Josh Briggs, Yoshihiki Inamura, Trick Williams, Nico Vance, Brooks Jensen, Javon, Sean Spears, Eddie Thorpe, Charlie Dempsey, all of No Quarter Catch Crew, Lexis King, Wes, and Tyreek and Tyson. So really, Trick, Wes, Ethan Page, who is ready to be in that spot? Josh Briggs, I don't know who you would.
Is that? I see Wesley, really.
Sorry, so that's I looked at a list of 23, so there could be 2 more people added. They said TNA as well, so there could be 2 TNA people in this match.
They've done the Moose match already.
Who even else is in TNA, right? Tommy Dreamer?
Frankie Kazarian.
No. You see X-Pac you see it? Don't say his name. Did you see X-Pac this week? Did I ever tell you X-Pac is my favorite wrestler of all time?
Oh, I love X-Pac. Check out Best Match Ever, X-Pac, Sean Waltman from back in the day. Great show he did.
I got to meet him briefly last year at WrestleMania, and he was really nice. But I love him even more because he gave Alicia Edwards an X Factor on their pay-per-view last week.
Oh, nice.
So I love X-Pac even more now. He's the best ever. 1, 2, 3. Put him in the match. No, what are we going to go back to TNA? Should it be someone from TNA? I just don't know like Dolph Ziggler. I don't think we need him back in NXT. We've had enough of that. But like, I think he just won a title. I could be wrong, but
I'm looking at the full list of
TNA talent. Okay,
AJ Francis versus
Leon Slater, if he's okay from that dive that no one caught him. Put him in the match if they were smart.
Elijah.
Like capitalize. Elijah.
You know, Elias.
Elijah Burke, the Pope?
No, Elias.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah, Jeff Hardy. I don't know.
Yo, fuck it. Jeff. Did you see Jeff was trying to apparently Jeff was like, hey, I heard Randy Orton needs an opponent, guys. Like,
Matt Cardona.
Oh, I don't know. Is he's in TNA still? I didn't realize that.
Isn't he everywhere? I don't know.
Yeah, fair. Let us know who will watch it just be Trick versus Joe. Why are we even?
It could very well just be Trick.
We're just going through all this for it to be another.
It's just weird for him to be having two storylines, right? Unless it is going to be a triple threat. I see it being more of a
okay. Joe versus Trick versus Oba double title.
Sure. We just do it like WrestleMania 2000, but at the end you just have.
No, I hate that. Oh, one of the.
It's so backwards, isn't it?
Oh, that should have been one of the best matches ever, but it just really wasn't. Yeah, I'm gonna say that. Make it another triple threat. Joe, Trick, and Oba. I don't know who else you would do this with, but yeah. Anyways. We go to our next match. Hank and Tank, our new NXT tag champions. They're putting the titles on the line. Shout out to what was it again? The old Japanese trick from Yoshiki Inamura, who tricked Ava into being like, oh, my partner, Josh Briggs, and I'm going back. So she gave him this one last opportunity. So Inamura and Briggs challenging for the titles. Early on, the guys are just slamming on Hank here. They're running back and forth. There's these clotheslines. We see they're beating down on Tank, and then Briggs boots him in the face as they go to break. Picture in picture, they continue to beat on him. When Hank finally tags in and hits this lariat to Inamura, then a snake eyes. There's then all this chaos and breakdown. There's a beautiful bridge German from Inamura for a 2 count. Eventually, Briggs chokeslams Tank, and then Inamura does the splash, but Hank breaks it up in the last second here. NXT chants ring out due through the PC. Inamura then accidentally swings one of these guys into Briggs, which then they throw him out of the ring, allowing them to hit their running power slam headbutt, or is it more of a push combo move for the 1, 2, 3? And Hank and
Tank looks like it really hurts Tank, to be honest.
Doesn't look like that does anything.
I'm gonna pick up a huge guy and ram him into your head. But yes.
Yeah. Hang and Tank win. It had some fun. It picked up. There was a few minutes there where it really was going, but maybe I was expecting a little bit more here, considering we have seen from both teams, but a fun little match, I guess.
They're all pretty fun, quick, fast, athletic big men. I was really hoping for the Josh Briggs turn because I think he's someone that you could put in these in the singles matches, and I think a heel run would be good for him. He's definitely got the size and the power and the move set where he doesn't really have to change much of what he does to be a good heel in ring. And I think he'd be for me way more interesting in the Ridge Holland role than Ridge Holland is, so I'd like to see a bit of a evolution of Josh Briggs after Inamura moves to Noah, and I thought here was a place you could have done it.
Didn't we say last week that this was what was going to happen? It should be, inadvertently something happens where Briggs gets pissed. They showed Briggs afterwards. They kind of teased it, and then they just cut away.
Yeah.
Right? Inamura cost the match, but then Briggs is upset with him, but then it just cuts away. So I don't know.
Maybe they're both in the Battle Royal next week, so maybe you could set someone up with them there. But I feel we need to break these two up and have a singles match before Inamura leaves, right?
Wouldn't it have been? Yeah, I guess. I kind of thought it would. You could have had Briggs destroy him and then win the Battle Royal and just be full heel. Try it, to see where we could go with that. I don't know. I don't know where we would go, but I was expecting more of a turn. He's just gonna send Inamura away. Oh, we lost. Anyway, see you later.
Yeah,
go back to Noah. Give me back my vest.
Yeah.
He was wearing it. At least he wasn't wearing the WWE shirt, so it was a plus. Backstage, we see No Quarter Catch Crew. Miles is talking about the Battle Royal next week and says that he's going to be in it and he's going to win the whole thing because he heard Ava talking that it's going to have Evolve, LFG, and TNA talent in the Battle Royal. And Tavion says, well, last week you were teaming with Javon, and like, what is Charlie going to think about this? And he's like, who cares what Charlie thinks? Like, I'm going to be in that Battle Royal, and so should you, because any of us could win it. Very interesting here. So some tension with the No Quarter Catch Crew.
Yes. What was it? Ren says about Charles. He has many thoughts about many things. He's a complex man. And they go, what does that mean? And she's like, I don't really know. So yeah, teasing some tension, looking to break out Miles Bourne as more of a singles act, which I think is a good idea. I think the crowd really like him. I think he's been impressive in ring. Compared to, say, a group like the Culling, I think No Quarter Catch Crew's done a really good job of creating characters for all four of these people. I'd say Tavion is the one who has yet to establish himself as a character, but it's done great things for Ren, Dempsey, and Miles Bourne, I think, which when the group originally started with Gulak, it thought it was going to be a bit of a boring kind of, we're just mean wrestlers kind of thing. It's evolved them all in a good way, I think.
I actually fuck it, call all of these guys up. Like with Ren, I know it's still, they still seem super young and everything, but they've really impressed. And I feel like they've been low key some of the most impressive stuff in the last year, and then keep getting put back on the back burner. Like every time they take two steps, when Ren was the one who was put in the Iron Survivor, right?
Yeah.
It was like, whoa, all of a sudden everyone was like, oh shit, we forgot about Ren. Like this clean cut person who could wrestle, then add this weird character with this No Quarter Catch Crew that actually worked. That's the big thing. And they found that works in wrestling, right? You have your stable where everyone's the same, and then there's one person who's like the outsider. We see it. The Bloodline, Sami Zayn, MJF trying to be with Hurt Syndicate, Ren Sinclair with the No Quarter Catch Crew. It's like an old staple in wrestling that really works because it gets you behind it, like in a storyline where they accept finally this person. And it's completely worked. And the only next best thing is to put some stock in the whole team, like have Charlie, if you're going to push Charlie as the leader or something. I don't know. I'm not saying maybe they're there yet, but you know what I mean?
I've said this, I feel, a few times on this show, but we need to start elevating some of these men in the men's division into singles roles. And if you want to push Charlie and Miles and your Josh Briggs and stuff like that, it will really freshen up the men's scene, because it feels like we're just going between Trek, Oba, Javon, really, like Ethan Page and Ricky Saints in the mix. Like we could do with some fresh faces. And I think people would really get behind a Miles Bourne in a singles title chase.
Absolutely. I would. I like this whole No Quarter Catch Crew. And again, they're always like on the sideline, but if I think back to the Fraxium run that is now over, right? Pour one out. We can't even pour them out yet, Davey, which we're used to, because they haven't done it. They haven't completely left. We don't know. Yet. Yeah, we don't know that we can't pour them out yet. If anyone's like, you guys didn't pour them out, because we do that here, but we can't yet. So we'll hold off on the pouring out. But the No Quarter Catch Crew, it's between that and the Chase U matches that were the best in the entire run. And like they should capitalize on, even the PC is behind all of these guys all the time. So like I think this is your next group to maybe focus and elevate, to see if you could to use here in NXT, especially when we finally move some people out. I think these would be the guys to focus on. Speaking about focus, they didn't really focus here. I mentioned the audio was out of sync for some of this show, but then it cuts to some shot of the crowd, and then you just hear people talking. And then it took me a few seconds to go, is that the Dark State lads? And then, it was. So they played a promo, but was it them?
Yeah, I wonder if this happened on CW as well, because I think we have noticed a few things on the simulcast broadcast where things go wrong because Netflix aren't dealing with commercials that CW are. So I'd be interested if this was shown on the CW. But we just got, and we get this every week, we get a shot of the crowd and we've just got some music playing as they're waiting for the show to start. I almost thought, when you go to these like studio tapings of like a sitcom or whatever, and between takes, you have the hype man come out to keep the crowd entertained. I thought that's what we were watching. I thought it was some guy go, all right, we've got a commercial break right now, and blah, blah, blah. And then it was right at the end where I realized, oh, this is Saquon Sugars talking here. So I can't really comment on what they said because I really didn't take it in. It was just weird. And we have seen more of these production errors in WWE since the Netflix era has started.
You can't, things like this will happen. You can't fault, especially, but it was really weird considering it's just showing a bunch of crowd people and like they don't know that they're on camera. And you just hear these wrestlers talking. And I couldn't necessarily pay attention because I was trying to figure out what the hell was happening. But I am going to assume the promo went something like, no one is safe.
No one is safe. We're facing Hank and Tank and Joe Hendry next week.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. We go to Andre Chase University. That's right. We may have lost the metaphor tonight, but Chase U has reopened. Andre Chase wearing his Chase U sweater. He's in the classroom and he's speaking to a bunch of students here. And he's saying it was all these months ago, 5 months ago, Ridge Holland forced me to close up. And I wasn't sure if I'd ever open these doors again. But today is a new semester. This is when Uriah Connors and Cale Dixon show up late. They're in their Chase U shirts. And they're like, oh, sorry, Mr. Chase. We're so sorry. And they sit down. And we see this one guy like that. You know that one guy who's always at the front of the class. Who looks about 40,
by the way. This
adult students, man. Come on. It's a university. It's not a high school. This guy, though, you know the type. He was a worm. He's just in the front. He's the brown noser of the class. He's like, oh, hey, Mr. Chase, didn't you always say to be on time? And Chase is like, yeah, Chad, you know what? I think they say snitches get stitches. And Chase, instead of aligning himself with Chad, of course, his name is fucking Chad.
I was just going to say, we get some crazy names in NXT, but I do not believe that this man is a Chad.
No, that was not a Chad. No, that was definitely not a Chad. He says, Chad, fuck your question. And everyone cheers, and he goes, it just feels right. It's back, baby. So, yes, Chase U is back. A little late. Like, what? Why did we do this in the first place if we were only going to come back and at half-mast because you fired your MVP, your key student? Like, it's not too late, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, to say you're sorry and bring him back. It's the right thing to do because Andre Chase, I'm happy that we're back with Chase U and everything, but you can't capture the same lightning twice.
He wasn't fired. He just graduated. He learned everything. He was the MVP. He learned everything there was to learn from Chase U, and now he's spreading his wings.
Now he's got Duke U.
Exactly.
Somewhere.
You know what? If Andre Chase never makes it to the main roster, I hope he stays in NXT forever. I wouldn't mind if we see new Chase U classes every single year. He doesn't even have to wrestle, but if I get just a couple of Chase U skits every now and then, just knowing that this university is helping out the youth and future generations of NXT, I'm okay with that.
You say you want Andre Chase to stay in NXT forever. That's like torture in some countries. That's like, that sounds awful.
Hey, no, we love Chase U.
Yeah, dude, you're going to stay in NXT. Oh, yeah? For how long? Forever. Oh, okay. Well, what about all the people who've been my students? Yeah, when they get really popular, we're going to fire them. We're going to fire all of them.
Once every 6 months, you put the school on the line. It's okay. You'll get it back.
Oh, man. Is it a coincidence that Andre Chase had a gambling issue and the week they come back from Vegas that the school reopens?
Where's Ridge as well? Ridge.
I don't know. I don't need the answer to that. Okay. We don't need it. He's in the Battle Royal next week.
Oh, right. So, okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm happy. I feel ways about this. I feel two ways. It's like, cool, it's back, but why did we go away in the first place? Don't leave while you're hot. That's how May screwed up. Why would you cut the university, this angle, this story, when it was one of the most popular things, and then release the one half of it, and then now all these months teasing that you're going to go back and then finally go back. It's like, well, no, the magic isn't there anymore because you spent so much time. We're resetting essentially. So I feel different about it. So we'll have to see. Maybe one day Cale Dixon and Uriah Connors will be just as in our hearts as Duke, but
sure.
Yeah. Sol Ruca taking on, sorry, no, we already saw Sol, but Sol is backstage with Zarya when Kalani Jordan comes in and says, you gave a match to Karmen tonight, but when I was champion, I was defending all the time, and you're not a champion. You're fighting someone who's got her own issues and everything. And I think it's Zarya says, yeah, you got an issue. Sol says, step up. Why don't you face me next week? Zarya says, no, you're not fighting her for a title shot because you got to go through me. Step up to me first. So Kalani says, fine. And that match is announced next week. Kalani taking on Zarya. And it sounds like if Kalani or Zarya win, maybe they get a North American shot against Sol Ruca.
Do you see Zarya winning this and setting up that match?
No.
Or do you see that being further down the line?
Yeah, I think we'd go back to Kalani versus... Didn't we get Kalani versus Sol for the title, but the other way around?
We still had Heat Wave.
Yeah, it was one of the standout matches. Like, everyone was talking about it. I think we could run that back, but this time Sol is the champion. And I think Kalani now with more of an edge, not quite heel, but like definitely leaning in that direction. So I think that's the more interesting route.
Seeing it a bit with Zarya here as well, like speaking for Sol.
Yeah.
And kind of, she's pretending to be her protector, but I'm not sure about that.
We'll eventually, the slow burn, right? We'll eventually get to that moment, but the muscle kind of being too muscly for her. It's like she can speak for herself. We see Joe Hendry backstage. He's being checked on by the doctors, and Hank and Tank walk in, and they're like, oh man, sorry about that. Those Dark State guys. And Joe says, yeah, and Trick's going to get his too. Then I got to worry about these guys. And he goes, yeah, well, don't worry, Joe. We believe, brother. We believe. And all you got to say is honk, honk, and Hank and Tank are there. So Joe steps off this table, and he's like, oh, my arm. And then honks with his other hand. And they say, you got it. And it is announced next week, Hank and Tank and Hendry taking on Dark State. So get ready.
So I guess Joe isn't going to be in that battle royal then. Yeah, okay, sure. Not overly excited about that, but
I can't say it's not necessarily like, oh, great. Joe still could be in it, I guess, but
yeah, you could do double duty, yeah.
So that match is announced next week, as well as Zarya versus Kalani and the 25-man battle royal. So we got next week. But tonight, our main event of the evening, Julia is teaming up with Roxanne Perez to take on the WWE Women's World Heavyweight Champion, IYO SKY and Jordynne Grace. I was like, what would be a funny name what would the tag team name? Jugger Sky Juggernauts? I don't know. Work in progress for that one. But IYO SKY gets me high, and anytime I see IYO coming back to NXT, it's a good night for us here. And Corey Graves' commentary brings up Meiko Satomura just recently retiring from the world
yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah. They mention all the time she's been in NXT, and I'm weeping because we never got that one last match in WWE or NXT. But we love Meiko. We've watched a ton of her matches for different podcasts over the last few years, and if you're not super familiar, would definitely recommend. We see IYO starts things off here with Julia and starts to go off when her and Jordan keep tagging in and out. There's a double team where IYO does like this tope atomico senton off of Jordan's shoulders, which almost looks scary for a second, but then in the last second, IYO really is the genius of the sky because flips it into that senton.
Yeah, it looked very cool.
Julie is in there with Jordan, just getting slammed around by Jordynne Grace. There's then a Brock Lesnar-esque gut buster, but then Julia tags in Rox, who ends up hitting this running head scissors, and then Booker T on commentary starts bigging up Roxanne Perez and how happy he is that she's made it to the main roster, and brings up Roxanne in reality of wrestling, and Corey Graves, without missing a beat, goes, yeah. You don't say, do you, Booker? Reality of wrestling, huh? And they start to poke Booker T here about like, oh yeah, reality of wrestling, this and that. And he goes, no, reality of wrestling. Then she went to Ring of Honor, and I think Booker said the quote was, "If Roxanne were to retire tomorrow, she would go into the Hall of Fame." Okay, I mean, she had a really good run in NXT, Book, but you're getting a little ahead of yourself, but I know what he's saying.
You definitely put her up there as one of the top women to have been in NXT, but
agreed.
Not quite a Hall of Fame career yet.
Not yet, but Book, I think one day she definitely, the way things are going, I think she'd be on track, Book. So I know what you're saying, but he's defending his girl. Maybe he really is emotional to see someone. He was definitely attached to her as one of the characters and wrestlers over the years. We've seen his influence with her. So I think he's got a soft spot. Obviously, he's got a soft spot for Roxanne, and I'm sure he was emotional and happy for her. So I get it. But it's just funny hearing Graves and Vic. We've been doing it since he's been here. You can tell who Booker T likes and who he doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
And who is booked at Reality of Wrestling. And that might or may not determine if he likes you or not.
Yeah.
Just saying. However, Jordynne Grace in this match was very impressive because she hits this like double Northern Light suplex throw to both Roxanne and Julia. Like it's absolutely nothing. IYO tags in with this crazy missile drop kick to Julia as the crowd start to chant IYO. We come back from break and Julia hits IYO with the surf stomp for a near fall. This is when it breaks down. There's chaos. There's a backbreaker on Roxanne from IYO, and then Grace hits a DVD on Roxanne, and then Jordynne Grace German suplexes Julia while she Northern suplexes Roxanne at the same time. This spot, I've never seen anything like this. Yeah, just crazy. Jordynne Grace, absolutely. They got something here for sure. There's then a IYO and Jordan hit this like stomp gory special combo, which was crazy. And then Rox comes in and hits a Rana off the top on her, goes for the moonsault, but it's broken up. And then Julia and Grace are fighting, and they start to fight ringside and fight up the ramp. I do hate this in wrestling where it's like, oh, we need to get away from the match. Well, let's just punch each other while walking away up the ramp through Gorilla to the locker room. It's like, oh, all right. So they do that while IYO and Roxanne are left alone in the ring, and we get some great back and forth. European clutch counter from Rox, only for IYO to counter into one of her own. Then a Shote, the Pop Rocks is blocked, and then a second time from this like backflip from IYO.
It was then, like, yeah, the Pop Rocks countered into this backflip into a drop kick right to the face. Looked stunning.
Eventually, IYO drops her and hits the over the moonsault, or as Vic Joseph called it, the moon over the moonsault. And then IYO gets the 1-2-3 on Roxanne. And I'll say it again every time I say it. I mean it. IYO Sky gets me high, once again proving why she is one of the best to ever do it right now in the WWE. This was such a really fun match, and getting some of the like Roxanne and IYO tangling up, Julia and IYO tangling, Jordynne Grace, Julia, Roxanne. It was so much fun. I really got into this match, and I can't say I loved this episode of NXT, but this match really got my attention.
This match made the show worth it. It reminded me of, those moments you have in Survivor Series or Royal Rumbles when you're finally seeing combinations you haven't seen before, and it's like a little teaser trailer of what's to come. And I thought, IYO and Roxanne is something that should be a huge feud down the line at a proper series of matches, because these two, they're very similar in like height and stature, which just helped, and they work together so flawlessly here. Some of those counters and just sequences they had were so impressive. That was the highlight of the match for me, seeing those two, but not to take away from anyone else. Like, everyone stepped up in this match. Jordynne Grace looked incredible with some of her power moves, like that German Northern Lights suplex she's been doing in a few of the matches recently was impressive. But yeah, like IYO and Roxanne, that should be a WrestleMania main event one day, because it really excited me watching those two.
There's so many iterations here, like IYO Rox, IYO Julia, IYO Jordynne Grace. Eventually, when we get to that, like any of these four, And then if that wasn't enough, right after the match, it cuts to Stephanie the Care, the NXT Women's Champion, backstage watching the match with Ava. And Stephanie says, I'm ready to defend. Ava, tell me, who is my next challenger? And she says, well, given everything that happened here, it's got to be either Julia or Jordynne Grace. So we'll have a match where these two will have to go one-on-one, and the winner will face you at Battleground. So is that announced for next week? Jordynne Grace taking on, I believe so, Julia.
So next week's a pretty big show, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love this. Again, IYO, one of my favorites, but Roxanne has had one hell of a year, and I can't wait to see what she does on the main roster. So far, they've slowly kind of integrating these people, maybe not sure where their places are quite yet, but when Rox finds her footing, I think it'll be fine. It looks like Stephanie is kind of low-key been called up, considering she's been on Raw 2 weeks in a row, all of them kind of being up on Raw. I think they're like, oh, wait, we have this crazy women's roster in NXT. Like, why aren't we like showing the world?
Well, I think you've got so many people who are like, you can move these people up, and you've got your Jada Parkers, your Lola Vices, your Kalani Jordans, your Sol Rucas, your Zarias. You've got all of them. I imagine Jordynne Grace staying around for a little bit longer and having a title reign. Whether she wins next week, it's how soon do you want to move up for care? Like it is a bit of flip-flopping with that title, but if you're like, you've had your NXT run, like let's get you up there. Like let's strike when the iron's hot and move you to the main roster. I could see Jordynne Grace walking out of Battleground as champion.
Yes, I agree.
We also had someone mention in the comments something we haven't talked about because we were off of Poisonrana this week, but the rumors about Mariah May as well, potentially she's on a contract year and potentially going to come to NXT. So
I wouldn't imagine NXT. So, like I couldn't see her in NXT.
Well, either way, like they're spoiled for choice at the moment. Whereas the men's division does need some work. Magan in the chat saying Hunter is going to bleed Sean dry. It's developmental. Like these people should be moved up when they're ready. Julia, Roxanne, Stephanie, they're ready. Like they should be on the main roster at this point. They're better than half the main roster women. Why are they not up there? You've got so much talent in the women's division that you can easily have NXT. Well, like we mentioned, Ren Sinclair. She's someone who's been really entertaining. That's someone, Thea Hale. They're people who are North American picture, and you can move your Kalani Jordans up to the women's title. You know, Fallon Henley, JC Jane. Like there's so many people there on the women's roster who they will not be lacking for women. If you can move up all four of these and they'd be fine, I think.
Yeah, like I would have Jordynne Grace beat Stephanie, and I would have Stephanie on Raw and SmackDown, like right away. Like she already is, essentially, it seems, just from the last 2 weeks. But as soon as people saw that move, the Devil's Kiss, it was a wrap. It was game over. It was like, more of this, whatever. I love wrestling now, I think the internet said after seeing that for the first time. So I could see her picking up a whole lot of steam. And like the women's roster on the main roster needs a bit of a shot in the arm coming out of Mania. We had Rhea, we had Bianca and IYO, and that was like the match of the weekend. But we need to look forward of what other things can we do. And I think any iteration of Julia, Roxanne, Stephanie, like instantly spices some things up with the women's roster. And it won't just leave us alone. If we keep Jordynne Grace down here as our champion, she will be that juggernaut for people to go after. And I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine. Because again, here on this show, the women stole the show yet again. That's the common thing. If you watch NXT or listen to us every week, it's the women kill it all the time. They're the best part of this show, and they know that, and they focus on them more than the men, it seems, in the last little while. And it's been really great. So we've got 2 singles women's championships on both brands now on the main roster that these women should absolutely be fighting. Yeah.
You know, no disrespect to Zelina Vega, but these girls should be in that mix, right? Like it's like you've got Lyra on the IC title front, and I think that's the right move. You can have your Roxannes and your Stephanies fighting for that title. I think you should start building depth in the main roster, especially we've got, you know, this Evolution pay-per-view being rumored. So I think you'll want to get a lot of these women established on the main roster before that pay-per-view, so you can have those NXT matches as well.
What would you book? Evolution. What were some of these matches? Some of the women in this tag match would definitely be involved, but like what? IYO versus someone?
I mean, IYO Roxanne, I'd love that. But
IYO Roxanne Evolution main event.
Yeah.
Book it, because like IYO's in the main event at this point. Like if she wasn't already after WrestleMania, like before WrestleMania, like now she's the GOAT woman right now in WWE. Like the crowd reaction. She's got her, you made it in WWE when you got your pose down, the like almost I'm crazy thing that she does. Like, it's her Zero Mero essentially. She's hitting it every.
It's starting. She's been doing it for a little while now, but I think people are starting to cotton on because you saw this NXT crowd all doing it.
Yeah, from afar, it kind of looks like something different and dirty, but I know. I think an Evolution pay-per-view or PLE would definitely be something in maybe not 2025, but 2026. Like there's so many things. Yeah. Someone else in the chat bringing up Mariah May. Again, I would love to see that hot off. I don't know what else she would do in AEW considering she hit the like be all end all there, but
I mean, if she is leaving, she's cashing out at the perfect time. Had one of my matches of the year, you know, a hot feud. And it's a contract year. Like either way, like you can either get a whole lot of more money from Tony Khan or jump ship and go to WWE before, you start being your stock lowers or whatever. But that Tony Storm feud was fantastic. And I absolutely loved that match they had. So she feels WWE to me. I could totally see that.
If we're going to Battleground, we do assume so it's Julia versus Julia versus Jordynne Grace. And like Julia's already been the women's champion because Stephanie beat her. So you would imagine it's Jordynne Grace versus Stephanie, and that's a solid match for that PLE. And then Oba versus whoever wins this battle royal, like, right? That should be Jordynne Grace and Stephanie, and it should be Jordynne Grace beating her and Stephanie going up to the main roster. But that is the same night as AEW Double or Nothing. Very interesting. A Sunday, May 25th. So wrestling fans are going to have to choose there. It's one thing to watch like a Dynamite and an NXT at the same time. It's a whole other thing trying to watch two pay-per-views. Like that's just straight up wrestling. You can't watch matches simultaneously.
I'm not attempting to do that at all.
Like I'm sure people will. Oh, I'm gonna double, like when it's a show like a Raw or Nitro, like sure, because there's segments and breakdowns and commercials, but like when it's two pay-per-views, like that is just not your brain.
Especially as two things I enjoy. I'm not going to watch two movies at the same time just to watch them both. I'll watch one after the other, like. So
hopefully we have some, I think, stay tuned. I think we will be planning to go live right after Battleground, but we will be, I'm sure John Away will be going live with Double or Nothing, but Post Wrestling is going to be busy that weekend. So keep it locked here at Post Wrestling. Yeah. Saturday night's main event as well that week too. So.
Jesus.
Whew. Never stops, Davey. I asked you when it started, are you wrestled out yet? And clearly we're not, because it just never fucking ends.
We have some pieces of feedback on the Poison Rana Facebook group. If you don't follow us already, please do. Search for Poison Rana. You'll find the page, and that will lead you to our private group, and we'll let you in, and you can always leave feedback for these NXT shows every Tuesday.
And we go first to Fire Frank, the BDE champion. He says, Booker, let me tell you something. Roxanne Perez, she came from reality of wrestling. Corey, you don't say. I believe in Hong Kong, so I'm happy for the return of the U, but also devastated that Metaphor is no more. This coming week after D'Angelo family broke up, I'm gonna need a minute. Yeah, good call. Like Chase U is revived. The family seems to be going through some stuff. And Metaphor is done. Like all these people, all these groups that we were so fond of, so many memories, but nothing lasts forever.
And we go to Magan, who says, as expected, women run shit down in NXT. The main event was match of the night. Io got treated like a conquering hero in her old stomping grounds. She is in such a zone lately and is firmly in the discussion for best wrestler alive. Suck it, Max Caster, regardless of gender. I do hope Jordynne versus Julia next week doesn't have a non-finish. After 2 pay-per-views of multi-women matches, I want to see a single showdown at Battleground. This goes double for Oba Femi. The tag scene is in good hands with Hank and Tank. A solid outing.
Yes, there you go. I think everyone was pretty happy with that EO match. But there you go. Fun stuff to look forward to with Battleground. The women, as always, kicking some ass here in NXT, and we are for it. So again, catch us live every Tuesday. We do this 10:05 p.m. Eastern time here at Post Wrestling and live on the YouTube. And this Sunday, Poisonrana live. We'll be live 2 p.m. Sunday. And Davey, we and you, we're going to be chatting all about some WWE, some Raw, SmackDown, AEW, Dynamite, Collision. Who knows what else? Maybe some Dark Side as well. Been loving that.
Oh, I need to catch up on that.
Yeah. So there's a few episodes there to catch up on as well. But always some fun stuff. So catch us live and then the audio. So if you don't follow, Poisonrana.ca for links of everything else that we do, including our Patreon, because we got a stacked Was Next, and then our WrestleMania 32 review with the Jopo this week as well. Tons and tons of shows. Again, follow the socials if you haven't already. And who would win in a fight, Braun Breaker or a gorilla? Have you seen this shit about gorillas going on? Yeah. We always talk about pit bulls and kangaroos, but now the internet is obsessed with 100 men versus a gorilla. And 100 men would definitely kill a gorilla, but I'm more interested in seeing a wrestler face a gorilla. But anyway,
Braun Breaker could, I think, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, maybe. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate all the postmarks in the YouTube chat, as always. Appreciate, and we'll chat with you very, very soon. You can follow me. I am at the Bray D.
And I am at Davie Portman.
That is it. That is all. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. Canada strong, and love each other. Be nice.
Ahoy!